It's Saturday. I'm at Rose City Con, Portland's version of Comic Con. I'm here for the $100 challenge. Hopefully find some games in here. Cross our fingers, we're gonna go into Rose City Con and see what happens. Well, just came back from Rose City Comic Con 2024 for the $100 challenge. It was a challenge trying to find video game vendors. I found a couple. If I would have went to the Portland Retro Gaming Expo area first, I would have found those vendors. But we found 2 video game vendors in the massive area of Comic Con. First of all, let's talk about Comic Con. It was crowded. At first, it wasn't as bad. When I went to Wiz Con, it was busy. This is about 5 times bigger than Wiz Con 2016. I've only been to 2 Comic Cons so far. I love comics. I love, pop culture stuff. First Redemption is all about video games. I love pop culture stuff. All kinds of knickknacks sellers. There was more comics at this one. At first, I couldn't find any. Then I found some. People looked great that were cosplaying. Here are some really cool costumes. Dragon Ball Z. We have Gundam. We got Samus. Dueling Batmans. Plenty of Star Wars figures. And plenty of others. There was even a wrestling match at Comic Con. The match we never got. Hollywood Hulk Hogan versus Stone Cold Steve Austin.
What you gonna do, brother, at Comic-Con when those two go at it, dude?
Here's my buddy Jay. He's been in some So Wrong films. He's a Ghostbuster. He's not afraid of no ghosts, and neither am I. But here's the ghost with the most with the Ghostbusters. This is the Portland Ghostbusters area. It's really awesome. They have their own Ecto-1. It's cool to see this. One booth had some autographed pictures of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, one of my favorite shows. They had one with Buffy and Spike. They had one with Willow, Vampire Willow even, and Freddy Krueger himself. And they had a Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. They wanted $300 for that. Not a bad price. I was in a bidding war a while back. That one was almost like that one. I think it had a controller. And I want to say the game too. And it went up to $400. I was looking for video games. Prices, they were marketed a little bit above. They had a Kickmaster. I was interested in that. They went over $300. Not a bad price. I already have Kickmaster. Top label's a little beat up. I wouldn't mind a replacement label. I wouldn't mind a CIB copy. Okay, so I saw graded Nintendo Powers. Graded video game magazines. Surprisingly, not a lot of graded WATA stuff. Even the booth, I kept going back looking at games, trying to find the booth. We got lost trying to find it a couple times. Again, my fault. I didn't look above me and go, oh, we're in this area number. They said I don't do graded stuff. Interesting. You hear that? Kind of relief as well, because I'm not really big into grading. If you are, that's fine. I'm not. In this series, I've gone comics. I got a stack of Godzilla comics and some G.I. Joe comics, including, I think, 2 issues of issue 1, Godzilla King of the Monsters. But I'm not here for comics, I'm here for video games. Now, I'm in a Super Nintendo kick, but still looking to get some NES games and some Sega Saturn stuff. I did find a booth who had Japanese Saturn games, which was really cool to see. Toys, toys, toys. course, superhero stuff because, you know, it's Comic Con. You had arcades in there, not as many as the Portland Retro Gaming Expo usually has. Pleasantly surprised how many arcades and pinball machines were actually in there. Here's a kid playing Duck Hunt, which is wild to watch. Playing Duck Hunt, getting up to that screen. Does he know he's cheating? Guess you'd say we did that too back in the day, maybe. Besides the crowds, it was a lot of fun. It was cool just to, you know, take it all in. It's Comic-Con Portland-wise. A lot of vendors, a lot of cool areas, a lot to see. I was hunting for games. So after finding the vendor that had, you know, the Kickmaster, and they had some like Super Nintendo stuff, and some higher end Super Nintendo games like Chrono Trigger, some loose ones too. They had a Dragon Warrior 4, which I almost got, DuckTales 2. But when you ask them the prices, they had to go check. They had to get their app out and go, oh, it's this much, or oh, it's this much. So I had to wait to do that. So it took a little bit of time. There was a huge crowd. I looked at Deja Vu again, which I've owned that game like 3 times. So I was like, might as do 4th. How much? 65. Ooh, I thought it was 40, 45. Even my game, I said about 45. Comic-Con tax. You know, the convention tax. You're paying the tax. I asked them, hey, I have this game or this game. No, I had a couple bins with NES, Super Nintendo. Like I said, I wasn't really surprised they didn't have any Sega Saturn games for North America, which is fine. Portland Retro Gaming Expo is not very far off. So I looked at one game, like, I never owned that game. It's somewhat bad. I'll ask him how much. We're off to see the Wizard, because I got Wizard of Oz on the Super Nintendo. He said 45. This is what my game eye says. So we can say market-wise, we're adding this much value to that collection for the $100 challenge. Never owned this before. This is a first. I've always kind of thought about getting it, but I've never owned it. Now I own Wizard of Oz on the Super Nintendo. I didn't have a lot of money, so I was not going to pay $300 at this con for a single game. PRG E24, a little different, but not for this. So after getting Wizard of Oz, still looking around, and I saw Porky Pig for the Super Nintendo. I've owned that before. I wouldn't mind getting that CIB if I do get it. Scooby-Doo, which I've owned before on the Super Nintendo. And I see this racing game, and I've owned it before, but it's a better condition I used to own. Not a very common game. Lamborghini American Challenge for Super Nintendo. He wanted 30, and the condition's a lot better than my old copy. And my old copy was beat up, but I got that old copy for like $3. Could have got the box for it over the summer for like $10. I didn't have the game at the time, and I had a lot of those other boxes first I got to fill up. So I got this game now for $30, and here's the market value. We're going to include that, add to the collection for the $100 challenge. So still kind of looking around, and I see one other game, another game I've never owned. The Inspector Gadget, for the Super Nintendo, never owned it. He said, I think 45. So I got it for 45. Here's the market value. So add that to the collection. When I grabbed all 3 here, I asked, hey, will you take the 3 for 100? Which is only 10 under. He wouldn't budge. He's like, nope, can't get him anymore. Common ones, okay, not these guys. Okay, here's 110. That's all I got for the $100 challenge, those 3 games. Went to a great show, and now I have 2 weeks left of the $100 challenge. It does make me wonder about Portland Retro if it's going to be as crowded. I go to Burgerville for lunch. It's not very far from the convention center. But you had to get back in line and do another loop. And people left, had to wait another half an hour to 40 minutes to get in again. That's insane to me. $100 challenge. I'm trying to get that goal of $20,000, and the clock is ticking. With this being September 7th, it ends in 2 weeks, September 21st. I'm going to do a slight change. We're going to technically end it at the Portland Retro Gaming Expo. So whatever I get at Portland Retro Gaming Expo will include for the $100 challenge. I'm editing episodes, so I will not be producing any more episodes till Portland Retro Gaming Expo. You're from the Portland Retro area? Did you go to Comic-Con? What do you think of it? See you guys on the next $100 challenge episode. Thank you again so much for watching this episode of $100 Challenge. I'm on the road to increase that video game collection, hopefully getting that jackpot grand of $20,000. I've already achieved the mini award. Please comment, give a thumbs up, and follow. Subscribe if you haven't. It really does help me out. I'm trying to grow this channel just like growing the collection. If you're in the paranormal, I have my series Strange Occurrences. It's a series where I talk about odd life events I experienced, some on the paranormal side, and I talk about other people's stories as well. Some are known, and others not so much. Have fun, go game, and see you on the next $100 challenge or another video. One game at least was $20, $25, way over. A couple of games were that. They didn't really want to negotiate because they didn't get some of these games in anymore. I kind of understand, but at the same time, things that make you go,
Things that make you go,